The sports element. You must love sports yourself.
I'm not the sportiest guy in the
Shut
world.
up. This is the gag. This is the
My-
gag of the episode.
Okay, so
What's poppin'? My name's Shy Friend.
My name is Rowan.
hi, I'm Ian from Apollo Western Cup.
My name is Dana Demento.
My name is Katie.
We are from the House of Ebony, and you're watching
We're in Alberta.
Welcome back to Queer in Alberta, the podcast where I chat with 2S LGBTQIA+ Albertans from all across the province to share their stories. If you are new here, welcome to season 4. My name is Kels Valenzuela Delamarter. I'm your host. I use she/her pronouns, and this podcast is filmed and recorded right here on Treaty 7 territory, home of the Blackfoot Confederacy and the Otipemisiwak Métis government in the Alberta District Number 1. Of course, throughout the series, we've talked to a lot of artists, whether drag performers, playwrights, musicians, and I've loved that. But what about people that maybe aren't so creative in this sense? What about people that maybe like sports? Yes, it's true. Queer people play sports, and let it be known, we're really good at it. This next guest actually emailed me through my guest application form. It's a Google form if you're interested on coming onto the show. All you have to do is click a link tree, the link in my bio for most of my social media platforms, and you'll quickly see that there's a little button that says apply to be on the show, fill out the form, and you're good to go. That's how I connected with this guest, and their application really stood out for this one sentence that said, "We are the oldest organized queer sports league in North America." Let that sink in for a moment. The oldest queer sports league in North America is based in Calgary, Alberta. And as we discovered, it may even be the oldest organized queer sports league in the world. Because as you can imagine, this isn't like a thriving thing 50 years ago. So reading that tagline, it was pretty impossible for me not to immediately reach out and see if we could get them onto the show. What is the oldest organized queer sports league in North America? Well, it is Apollo's Western Cup. This is a yearly event that has been going on for decades in Calgary, and I was so pleased to chat with their current president, Ian, who came all the way to Lethbridge for a quick little vacay. We went to a Christmas market after. It was super sweet, but he told me all about Apollo, about Western Cup, and actually, at the time that this drops, the tournament will actually have just happened like a week ago. So you just missed it, but now you get to hear all of the behind the scenes. What can sports look like when inclusivity and acceptance are put first and foremost at the center? I did have a joke there about center ice, but I was like, I think the heated rivalry stuff is maybe like blowing over by the time that this gets out, so I didn't quite go for it. Ian tells me all about the history of Apollo and Western Cup, about how the event has grown from just a single tournament once a year to becoming more of a community hub, whether drag brunches or dances. They really are trying to continue to create queer spaces in the city, not just through sports. I was really excited about this episode because, as somebody that loved sports when I was a kid, I definitely started to feel like maybe there was an energy that wasn't the most welcoming, which is really, really sad because I've met many athletes, queer or not, who are very kind and accepting people. But I don't think it's too far of a stretch to say that there can be a stigma around what is it like going into even a rec league. Maybe you were bullied as a kid, maybe it didn't feel inclusive or accessible. There are lots of things that detract people from performing sports. There are lots of things that might keep people from feeling comfortable to go and play sports today. But that is something that Apollo and Western Cup absolutely are actively trying to combat. And as Ian says, it just doesn't happen there. Inclusivity and acceptance are key values of Apollo's Western Cup, and I'm so excited for you to hear all about it and how it's happening in Calgary. Ian also talks a little bit about what it was like for him growing up queer in Calgary, Alberta, and a part of why it feels important to him to give back to community through this work with Apollo and Western Cup. All right, so that's enough from me. I just want to hear about the sports of it all. Get ready to a spike, a set. What is another thing from the sports? I used to play these sports and I can't even remember, but the point is we're going to smash it out of the park. This is Queer in Alberta, and Ian from Apollo and Western Cup talking about the oldest queer sports league in North America, which is based in Calgary, Alberta.
Welcome to Lethbridge. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here. It's my first time in Lethbridge.
Which is
It's
crazy.
beautiful.
Like, we're literally 20 minutes away, which is a bold-faced lie, but that's how it feels to me. So I'm happy to bring you down here to chat about Apollo, about Western Cup, and just to show you what Lethbridge has to offer.
It's prettier than I thought.
That's it. That's the episode. Lethbridge is prettier than he thought. But you know what? Is there maybe a future for Apollo and Lethbridge, maybe getting some stuff set up here?
That's an interesting question,
Mhm.
and you're not the first person to ask. Could Western Cup ever come here? Vancouver has asked us many times, like, why don't you do it in Vancouver one day instead of Calgary? And to be truthful, like, we are a Calgary-based organization, and
I
we've
see.
always been based out of Calgary. But we would welcome you all to come up and participate
Yeah.
on the spring long weekend, which is when we host it every year.
You got it. The Lethbridge Ringette team. You're
And
not
it-
going to be ready for her.
We don't have ringette as a sport yet, but we should get it because that is a pretty popular and pretty quintessentially Canadian sport.
Yes.
And part of my mandate that I kind of set for myself when I became the president of this organization is that I want to add a new sport every year if possible.
Fun.
And since I said that, so far, knock on wood,
Knock on wood. Yep.
it has happened. So last year we added soccer. It was their first year and it was wildly successful. That attention actually got the Calgary FC in touch with us, and now they're working with us as a sponsor.
Cool.
The year before that, we added pickleball because everybody loves pickleball.
And why not? It's
Have you
pretty
played?
adjacent. See, we just had a new pickleball center built here in Lethbridge in the last year, and it looks so fun. But my only window of knowledge about pickleball is seniors playing pickleball outside here.
It's not just for senior citizens.
Thank you.
Honestly,
Clock
it's
that.
like an accessible version of tennis. Like tennis is
Gorge.
quite a difficult sport to get any good at.
Uh-huh.
Pickleball, you can kind of get a rally going, and it's a good time. You should check it out.
I will, 100%. And with a name like pickleball, come on. How can you not be a little interested? But Bestie, before we get into anything else, it is time for a segment called Quickfire Queer. Your first question is, which sport is without a doubt the fruitiest?
Ooh, ice dancing.
Your second question is, what is your 5-second elevator pitch to convince someone to come to Western Cup?
Do you like sports parties and hot people?
Question 3, is there a Oilers versus Flames equivalent in the queer sports league world?
Ooh, I don't think so.
Ooh, okay, I feel like maybe somebody listening is like, that's so wrong. It is
Well,
this team versus this team.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I try to stay diplomatic.
Very regal, very Princess Diana over here. Okay, so there is not, apparently. But if you're listening and you do have an answer, DM
Someone
me.
in our curling league is like, we hate this other
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
They're writing into you right now.
I want all the tea. But question 4, what sport are you getting picked last for in gym class?
Ooh. Basketball,
Really?
which is hilarious.
But
'cause
you're
I'm
tall.
like 6'4".
Yeah. I'm stereotyping you.
Yeah, you're not the first person. Growing up, every coach, every PE instructor was like, "You got to play basketball."
Yep.
And then they see me throw a basketball, and they're like, "Never mind."
That's done.
Yeah.
Dream canceled.
Ignore that. Ignore
The
that.
never mind is actually so scathing.
Yeah.
Incredible. I think for me, this is just like a personal thing, ultimate frisbee. I have no patience for that game. It's the thing with golf in general.
Golf. I'm trying to become a late in life golfer, and
Wow.
that is like a challenge.
Kudos to you, Mama.
It is not easy.
No.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it, but I still have fun.
I lack the fundamental patience. Final question. Are you ready?
Ready.
What is the possibility of getting a Queer in Alberta x Western Cup sticker made?
Oh, I love that idea. Done.
Done! Ah, easy. You heard it here first, folks. Keep an eye out. That's going to be on the docket for 2026.
We'll give those out at our event.
That's going to be so much fun. I was actually kidding, but if it happens, I'm very, very
You can
happy.
come there and give them out.
Hey! All right. Well, that was your quick fire queer. You made it.
Survived.
One piece. You feel okay?
I feel like I could do it again.
Well, 10 more questions. This is not just a long-standing organization in Calgary, but it's the oldest in North America.
We are the longest running queer multi-sport festival in North America. We could be the longest running one in the world, but we're just not able to verify that.
Wouldn't that be something?
But it wouldn't be shocking. I mean, it's not something you see a whole lot of. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this type of festival, not only are we the longest running, but there aren't really many others that exist. Like, there's none in Canada that I'm aware of. There is one in the States called Sin City, which happens in Las
So
Vegas.
fun. And of course it's in
Of
Vegas.
course, right?
It's not going to be in like, I don't know, Utah.
No. Although, you know what? Utah, surprisingly gayer than you think.
That's the same thing with Alberta. I
Yeah.
shouldn't have knocked it. Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you go to Salt Lake City, they have a road that they renamed Harvey Milk Boulevard.
No way.
So like they have I think when there's a very strong presence against queer people, that pendulum also swings hard the other way. So you get a very strong resistance to rise up and kind of balance it out. So yeah, it's actually, you should check it out.
Absolutely.
It's a cool place.
But we're thinking about this history here. And so the exact year was 1981, if I'm correct. That's 44 years ago for mathematically challenged folks like myself. But 4 folks attended the first ever meeting for Apollo Friends in Sports. So founded by 4 icons in a dream in Calgary.
Yeah, I know. That's so long ago. So we're on our 42nd edition of Western Cup. That's because we
Yeah.
did have to take 2 years off due to a certain health epidemic.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you think about like Calgary, 1980s, like what must that have been like?
That's, yeah.
It certainly, I can't imagine it was a very welcoming place for people like us. And so like what bravery, that took to get together and put and the foresight and the thought of like, hey, we need to do this for the community. We need to create space for ourselves.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's held on that entire time, like that really, truly blows my mind.
Yeah, and like I'm amazed that it's not more well known. And I don't mean that as like a dismissal of the amazing work that you folks are doing, because even me, it was the first time I heard about it when you reached out. But I'm so curious, like, do we know more about who these individuals were, or any records of what this vibe of a gathering of 4 around a beer table?
I would have to try to dig through our archives and
Yeah.
figure that out. I honestly don't know. I don't think anyone on my board probably even knows the people from that far
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
And I don't know how well records were necessarily kept. We do
For
have
sure.
a vault of paper somewhere. But yeah, no, I can't say I know anything about those individuals that gave the legacy that we have now.
Well, you know what? For folks that are interested in queer archival material, this could be a really cool project. Like putting that out there into the hemisphere, somebody dig into this and then call us because we would love
Yeah,
to
let me know. I would love to know.
Yeah. But, let's talk a bit more about Apollo's Cup. So we have these 4 individuals, but what was maybe some of the first events or things that were going on?
Well, Apollo was founded really in the beginning to create sport leagues and to bring people together. I'm pretty sure bowling was one of the original ones. I believe curling may have been as well. And really, the initial thing was just, okay, we just want to play sports. We just want to have a place where we can come and be a participant in this athletic thing, because they weren't necessarily welcome in leagues with the straight people out there
Yeah,
at
yeah,
that
yeah,
time. But yeah, no, I mean, that was Apollo actually used to run all of the sport leagues. And back when we only had 4 sports, that was kind of manageable. But right before the time when I became the president, we kind of restructured and changed everything so that each sport is now in charge of their own league, their own tournament programming. And what Apollo does is we throw events throughout the year, but our big one is of course Western Cup, and we basically create this umbrella tournament for everyone to come together. But luckily, I don't have to be involved in planning every individual sport anymore.
Which, thank
and neither
goodness.
does my board, because who has the time?
No,
And,
no.
and just putting together, the social events, putting together the venues for all these things, like it takes a full year just to put on like one weekend of these events. Like the amount of work behind the scenes is unbelievable. But
I can only just like pat you on the back and imagine like
but
even
it's worth it, it is worth it at the end of the day.
Yes, definitely. And I think like what you said earlier, you probably heard the clicky clacky of my keys here. I was looking up a couple of things because in 1981, when this was first starting, Pierre Trudeau is Prime Minister of Canada, just to kind of help listeners maybe get a better sense of like what is the social and political time like in 1981 for queer people. And, in season 3, we chatted with a guest who told us about when homosexuality was decriminalized in Canada. That was only in 1969, so not very long before Apollo is starting. And then same-sex marriage isn't legalized in Canada until 2005.
Which is wild that that only happened.
That
That
long.
happened after I graduated high school.
Isn't that unbelievable?
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that because I remember hearing about it in like social studies when I was very young in school. So ships passing in the night, you and I. Yeah. But this is again to kind of paint a picture of why queer people are maybe looking for this. And I think when it comes to history, we hear a lot about maybe queer dances or queer clubs and spaces. But what about places for where people want to play sports and feel safe?
Yeah, you don't hear a lot of it. I mean, that's why we're the longest running one.
Yeah.
And there isn't another one in Canada. So someone in Toronto who's listening to this, like go round
Get
up all of
on
your queer,
it.
because you have queer sport leagues. Like I guarantee every city's got queer sport leagues. Just connect them all together. Like have a big tournament. Do what we're doing. Like come talk to me. I'll tell you how.
Yeah. Shoot him a message. But now that we've kind of had that surface level look at Apollo and Western Cup, maybe let's get a little more into the details of who is this open to? Who can come compete? Who can come visit? Let's talk about that.
I mean, of course, it's open to everyone.
Everybody.
And I mean, we of course primarily serve the 2S LGBTQIA plus community, but we serve everyone. And it's not just queer people that are marginalized too, right?
No, absolutely
there's
not.
all different walks of life. We really want people that are, if you're already playing a sport, of course, sign up for that sport. If you are just new to the city and you want to make some new friends, we have lots of sports where you can just sign up as an individual and we'll pair you up with new people.
That's so fun.
And they're all so much fun. Like dodgeball is probably one of the most hilarious sports to watch because every team will have a theme. We'll have a whole team of drag queens compete. We'll have like a whole team of like big beefy straight guys in tutus for whatever reason. Like you could be any walk of life and you can find kind of a place to fit in.
That's so fun.
And let's say maybe you don't want to play any sports. Maybe you just want to come hang out. Like we throw events on that the spring weekend. The spring long weekend every year from the Thursday through to the Saturday and sometimes even on the Sunday. So just come and have a beer with us.
Yeah. And the thing that's standing out to me in hearing about this as well is I've had so many people message or comment about how what you're speaking to. They want to make queer friends. Maybe they're new to Calgary or new to whatever city, but they don't know how. And traditionally, I've pointed them towards folks that are maybe organizing outside of the clubs, say art market or movie night. But this is great to know that actually there's a whole dodgeball league that you can join if you want to go and like sweat it out and have some fun.
I know. I mean, the club scene is great. Everyone loves it.
Yeah.
Everyone loves a dance party, but it's not really the best place to like go make new friends.
To say hi,
Yeah.
what's your
Like,
name?
I'm not saying it's impossible, but
she's challenging.
It's a bit challenging.
Yeah.
If you do, join a league and play sports with you, there's a bond that you get from playing sports with people that's different than, you just met at a bar. And because you kind of get to go through something together.
Yeah.
It's almost like trauma bonding if you lose anyway.
Literally every kid that got picked last for dodgeball is hearing this and going,
Right. So, I mean, it's a great place to foster connection and help build those networks within people in the community and to help bring people into a network if they're feeling isolated or if they're new or whatever the case might be.
Yeah. I mean, my mind is kind of jumping to a couple of questions here, but you had mentioned earlier that in each year you've been president, you've wanted to add a new sport or a new thing to the whole roster, let's say. Is there like an event that you helped bring on or something new that you added that really, really was super exciting and fulfilling for you personally?
So in it, like outside of adding different sports, because we also added cross country skiing.
Yeah.
We're looking at adding this year maybe functional fitness, so kind of like a CrossFit sort of competition.
Oh, that's fun.
Those are really cool. But one thing that we also did since I've kind of been in this role is we brought back drag brunch on the Sunday.
Cool.
We did that for a few years and it was quite successful. But also then we realized, you know what, there's kind of a saturation of this now. Like there's a lot of people doing drag brunch. It's not really the novelty anymore. So what we did last year is rather than having our drag performers, at a Sunday brunch, we spread them out across all of our events across the weekend.
Cool.
So now we've got like a drag queen on the ice at the curling rink, you're like yelling, go hard, or like, whoa, at the curlers. And it's just bringing this whole new kind of life and energy and vibe to all the different venues.
I can see this icon in my mind's eye.
And, that we have them hosting our registration night too. And just, I mean, everyone loves a drag performance. It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
You're probably familiar with this, but I've started getting to know the Edmonton drag scene a bit more, both as like a drag performer and from Queer in Alberta. But I'm pretty sure every year in the spring or the summer, I see videos on social media of some sort of like drag takeover of baseball. Do you know anything about this in Edmonton?
In Edmonton, I'm not too
Yeah.
sure. We have a league here in Calgary called CASA,
Yeah.
and they're kind of under the Umpalo umbrella, but they don't
Mhm.
compete, in the spring long weekend around Easter time because it's not softball season,
Yeah, yeah.
and most of them typically play another sport. But no, I'm not familiar with this, but that sounds
I
hilarious. And I
know.
bet I would be willing to put money on the fact that probably some people in that CASA league are going up to Edmonton and participating in
Oh,
this because
probably. We should go and check it out.
doing sports and drag is hilarious.
It is so good.
Y-
Like, I would for sure be front row wanting to see this, and maybe one day in drag performing for something like that too.
And
Playing sports.
performing
Yeah,
sports.
performing sports.
Well, sometimes like queer people do perform sports. Like you
Yep.
should see our cross country ski people. Oh my gosh. Like out there in the snow on your skis in a Speedo,
Could
like
not.
just like bedazzled. It is hilarious. And like they have so much fun. You can just see it on their faces. They're having the best time.
I'm glad they are having a good time. I will be a spectator, but you could not pay me to be cross country skiing, I think, period.
And
But
another cool thing that this has done is it's actually given a platform for like really serious athletes that might be in the
yeah.
closet to come out and support. Like for
Mm.
example, our cross country ski race actually ended up being sanctioned like as part of like it helps you qualify for your official standings in Canada because it's held
Whoa.
at the Nordic Center in Canmore. Like it's an
Mm.
actual event. And we've had Olympic gold medalists or like silver medalists come and compete in it because they're like, and it's like, oh, I didn't know that they were queer,
I love
and they're
that.
coming and they're bringing their medals and they're racing alongside, some dude in a
Speedo.
speedo. It's just like what a fun day.
Don't put us in a box,
No, like
okay?
we're all different.
Yeah, and you know what? Queer excellence all around. I'm
Mhm.
obsessed. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah,
I'm so happy to be amplifying it here on the show.
we appreciate it.
Hey, you know what? Bestie, bestie. But what I was going to say is maybe let's take a moment here to think about why is it important to you that we have something like this here in Alberta?
Well, I mean, I grew up here,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Calgary, right?
I grew up in Calgary. I grew up, like you said, before gay marriage was legalized.
The
I
before
the
times.
before
Yeah,
times.
yeah,
I grew up in Catholic school. Not
Mm-hmm.
exactly a place where I felt comfortable coming out. Certain people knew, but I didn't come out
Yeah,
of the closet until I was in, university, college.
me too.
And so just knowing and coming from that and understanding that there are still people that feel that way, whether it's from family pressure or social pressure or religious or whatever it is, um, you know, there's still that feeling for a lot of people. Like not everyone is as fortunate to feel the way that we feel. And
Mm,
so those people need places, they need examples, they need to see examples of queer people living their lives and thriving
yeah.
and helping other people thrive and seeing that community. Because if they don't see that, then they may never really come out or be their true selves or have that
Mm,
opportunity. And I just, luckily when I was growing up, there were still examples of people
mm,
living their best life. And if I didn't have those, who knows where I would be.
yeah.
So it's important to continue flying that flag and showing people, you can be out and successful and have friends and do all the things. Like you don't have to hide.
Uh-huh. And you can play
And you
sports.
can play
And you can
sports.
play
Like you
sports.
can play hockey,
Yeah.
which is like the manliest,
Yeah. Get the
toughest
rainbow
sport.
tape.
Not manliest, but like toughest sport.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
our female
yeah.
hockey players are probably tougher than our male hockey players in this
And that's
country.
the tea. That is the tea. But when you were speaking there about representation, precisely, something that I've been wanting to kind of like make more clear, at least in my opinion, on this show, is sometimes folks hear that and they go, why is it so important to have representation? But your story, I think, as well as like has some similar notes with mine, where for me, I came out in my 20s because I didn't have representation, not just in media, but at all, to have an
Mhm.
understanding of queerness, right? So it's not that, I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you have representation, it just helps you understand yourself that much sooner. And it would have been a lot easier for me to not have to go on such a roundabout journey to figure out quite a simple thing in the end.
Well, if you can see yourself in someone else,
Yeah.
then you can become that version of yourself
Yeah.
rather than trying to fit yourself into all these other boxes that are pre-made and have
Exactly.
existed for hundreds of years that we probably don't fit in, you know?
Yeah. Finding somebody that inspires you. You think about it even beyond queerness, right? Like whether it's an artist, like those are things that motivate you to go on different paths or find things that feel true to you.
Every child deserves to be able to look at the TV or look outside at the
Hmm.
sports field or look wherever and see someone who looks like them.
We've talked a bit about your story in Calgary, but what pushed you specifically to want to work with an organization? You touched on it a bit about representation, but the sports element, you must love sports yourself.
You know, I'm not the sportiest guy in the
Shut
world.
up. This is the gag. This is the
My
gag of the
Okay, so
episode.
the caveat to that is that I am a ski fanatic, not cross country,
Ooh,
but downhill. So I grew up ski racing my entire life, basically, until I was about 16. Then stepped away from the organized version of skiing and just started doing it myself. So I love the mountains. I love getting out there. I love to camp. I love to swim. But like team sports, man, they are not my thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, what sport do you
Work.
play in Western Cup?" I say I play organizer. Like
Yes, I
I'm
play
just
lead.
I'm behind the scenes or I'm just
Yeah.
making it all happen. So yeah, no, I'm not the sportiest guy myself. I know.
Fascinating. I would not have expected this, seeing as how we are gathered here today to talk about the the whole sports of it all.
Yeah, no, I kind of fell into this role. I've always believed that if you are successful, if you're
Mm,
doing well in a community, then you should do good in a community. So
mm,
giving back and volunteering, that's always been just like a core value that I
yeah.
hold really close. And many years ago, a friend of mine was the social coordinator for this event, and he had taken me to the event a few times, and I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
these social gatherings are wild and they're so fun, and I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
So I kind of came on and became his assistant, and he was organizing like the big parties that kind of are the wrap up features of our sport tournament.
Right.
Started as his assistant, and then of course now you're on the board, and I don't know if you know this, but once you get on a volunteer board, it's, you know, if you're good at it, they're not going to let you go.
One thing after
Yeah, and
another.
also
Yeah.
we're looking for new volunteers, so call me. But I moved into the marketing position, which is hilarious because I
Hmm.
know nothing about marketing,
Right.
but kind of ran that for a while, and then I became a sponsorship coordinator, and that eventually led to one thing led to another.
Literally
and,
tumbled
and
up
here
the
I am. I know.
hierarchy.
I just fall into leadership positions. I don't know what it
I
is.
just, have
It's
this
like
affinity. Yada,
people
yada,
force me.
yada.
I swear.
All right. Okay. So that's such an interesting, I was not expecting this
Yeah,
journey.
not the sportiest guy. Like I played soccer growing up. I think all Canadian children are required to play soccer for at least a few years.
Uh-huh.
I did take martial arts for a number of years as well, which I really enjoyed.
Hmm.
But yeah, skiing has been my one true love. I
One
mean, I
true
also love
love.
my husband, but other than that,
Yeah.
skiing is it for me.
Skiing is it. It's almost like a terrible question. Skiing or the husband? What are you going to do?
Well, luckily, he's become a really good skier, so I don't have to pick and choose.
Perfect. See, you have everything figured out, honestly. And one thing that you had mentioned to me as well in talking about Apollo Western Cup was expanding beyond just the main event.
Hmm.
Our listeners are probably going to hear this episode, and I would say spring 2026. So,
Okay.
do you have any idea of what that's looking like in the
Yes,
future?
absolutely. One thing that people have been asking us for a little while now is, can you guys please do more? Like you have
Mm,
this great community that you've built, you have these amazing social events, but we're only operating one weekend a year.
hmm.
And you know, we took that to heart. We thought, okay, well, you know what? We are losing I feels like we're losing queer spaces rather than
I
gaining them, which
know.
is insane.
Yeah.
You know, so okay, what can we do to reverse that trend? So
Hmm.
this we've started holding Sunday Fun Day tea dances, which is
Tell me
amazing.
everything.
So they're really like kind of cute little events. We've been doing them at a place called Modern Love, which is in the Beltline in Calgary. They
Ooh.
have this amazing rooftop patio. So we're doing like Sunday Fun Day dances on the rooftop, bringing in DJs and just bringing in all kinds of people to come together and just have like a little Sunday afternoon dance party on a rooftop. Like who doesn't want to do
Cute.
that? So we'll be throwing 3 or 4 of those in the coming summer. And we're also looking at putting together in probably fall of 2026 a a comedy extravaganza night.
Do go
So
on. Do go on.
bringing in rent out a nice theater, bringing in a host, probably a drag performer host, but then bringing in a few really hilarious comedians, just to kind of poke fun at themselves and also at the queer community in general. Because if you can't laugh at yourself, then what are you doing?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we like that too because it's a completely different. It's not a dance. It's not. There's not going to be a DJ. Well, there might be a DJ for after, but like we wanted to do some things that will appeal broadly to not just our community, but to everyone. Like
Yeah.
we want you to bring all your straight friends to these events. So they
We really do.
because like they're gonna laugh too.
Yeah.
So
Do you know what I love? Straight people.
like sometimes. No, I'm kidding. You're great. And we're thinking about maybe doing a pool party as well in the summer if we can secure the right venue. So just really trying to branch out and create different opportunities that are not necessarily just going to the gay nightclub, at 11 p.m. on a Saturday. Like, what else can we do? What
Yeah.
other time can we fill? What other space can we occupy? And yeah, who else can we drag out of the woodwork?
Yeah, and like it's like you said earlier, it is no knock on the gay club. Like we have
We love
loved
it.
those spaces as historic spaces for our community to gather.
Mhm.
But it's 2026. I want to go see comedy. I want to go to a pool party. I want to do all the things that you're
Right.
saying, and I'm so happy that there's the opportunity for it.
And they've been so well received. The first tea dance that we held in like summer of 2025, people were almost in tears, like coming up to me
Yeah.
like, "Thank you so much for bringing this back. Like these used to happen all the time, and they've just kind of disappeared." And the number of people that came up and just said like, "This is what we need. Like, please keep doing this." Was really sometimes volunteering is a thankless job.
Yeah,
So
I
it's really
get
nice
you.
to get that feedback and hear, okay, we did something
We're
right.
doing something right. Yeah.
One thing that's exciting. So we always have a registration night, which happens on like the Thursday before, I guess, Good Friday. And we bring people together. We used to do it in our host hotel, but we've actually moved it to a new location. And it's a bar called Home and Away. And the interesting thing about that, it's on First Street in downtown Calgary, but Home and Away is the location of the first ever gay bar in Calgary.
That is
So we
crazy.
kind of like brought it full circle back to like the original place, which is really,
Mhm.
really fun. So we bring in everyone kind of like, if you're from Calgary, you just come down, but people have just landed that night checking in. This is where you can kind of come together and just meet people from all of the different sports. So it's I'm really excited to bring it back to that venue and kind of share that piece of history. Like we turned it back into a gay club, y'all. Like,
We did it.
so it's a riot. So that's super exciting.
Yeah, I actually came up with another question while I was listening to you there, just spontaneous on the moment. Is sometimes I think like there's the level of maybe queer people not feeling comfortable in sports. I actually interviewed somebody in season 1 who was an athlete and still is an athlete, and that was something they talked about struggling with as a teenager. Like they didn't want anyone on their team to think differently of them or stuff like that. But then there's another layer of like maybe sports, I don't know, have this energy of being a bit like whether macho or bullying or stuff like that if you don't fit in with the jocks, right? What would you say about that kind of stigma or stereotype that might hinder someone from wanting to come?
Well, it doesn't exist in our world.
Boom.
Yeah, we don't have that.
We don't do that.
We don't do
We
that
don't
at all.
participate.
That's even in our most macho sport,
Yeah,
which is I would
which is-
assume hockey.
Yeah.
Like they're not that macho. They're like welcoming and hilarious, and
Mhm.
we don't that doesn't exist where we are. Like
love that.
we're creating the opposite of that.
Mhm.
So come and see it, and,
Yeah.
and you're so right about that. Like that's the reason. I mean, how many out NHL players do you know?
Well,
right?
I don't know many NHL
Right?
periods
And I
to
mean,
begin with.
how many
but
NHL players are there? Like,
Yeah.
some of them have to be gay. Like, that's
Oh
just.
my gosh.
But it's not a culture even today in
Mhm.
2026. Like, it's not a culture where they can come out and be who they are.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's why it's so important to do what we do. Like I said, we just launched soccer last year, and all of a sudden I get this call from like the front office manager of the Calvary Football Club, and he says, "I love what you're doing. My brother is queer, and he played in your tournament, and he was so excited to play in this queer tournament. He's
I
like
love that.
just raving about you." So, I love hearing that people that have never never felt super comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
are finding ways to be comfortable in our community, and that's really what we're doing this for.
Yeah, and like even here in Lethbridge, I partnered with Orange Theory Fitness.
Nice.
Yeah, and sadly the branch has since closed. It was an amazing space with a fantastic owner named Danny, but we did a queer fitness night once a month kind of thing.
Nice.
And it was like with the awareness that so many queer people don't feel comfortable in, say, a traditional gym environment or a sports league. Hearing that something like this exists, it makes me excited because queer people deserve to have fun and to both have teammates and like that community that comes with it, but also to be able to take care of their health and exercise and sport.
Well, I mean, queer culture doesn't have to be just nightclubs
Yes.
and shots.
Shots. Yeah.
We have that too. But
Don't put him in a box.
no,
We
but
do
we
it
do lots of, we
all.
do it all. We do it
Yeah.
all.
The last question I want to ask you is about for folks that are hearing everything about Apollo, about Western Cup. A, how can they get involved if they want to compete or watch? And how can they support, maybe if they want to donate?
I love that.
Mhm.
Of course, visit our website, westerncup.com. You can sign up for any sport there. And just by participating in a sport, that really does support us. It grows our numbers, it grows our revenue. And of course, we are a nonprofit. We're not here to make money. Whenever we do make money, we find a way to give it back. So we have two different ways of doing that. And one is we do a profit sharing program with our sport leagues. So when we are in the black and we've made some money after a year's event, we divide up some of the extra money and give it out to the sports based on how many participants they had. But on top of that, we also give a lot of money away to charity. So we focus on charities that are important to us and close to our hearts. Skipping Stone has been one that we've been donating to quite a bit recently, especially with a lot of trans people are just under attack.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just unreasonable. So supporting any charity that can help make their lives a little bit easier is really important to us. But other ways you can help us, obviously you can donate to us, but we also love volunteers. We need volunteers to help our events run. So you can
Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground.
Mhm.
So reach out to us at volunteer@westerncup.com, and we'll happily find a position for you, and then we'll give you some freebies and some free tickets to our events, and we'll make you our friends.
Hey, I love that. So, besties, if you are wanting to go play some sports in Calgary, check out everything that Apollo has to offer. And those are your options as well for if you want to support a little bit financially, but no pressure, even being there, boots on the ground, being in the space and having a good time. That sounds like what's the most
It all
important.
contributes to the bottom line anyway.
The bottom line. But, we are, as I said, done the main portion of the interview. You survived and you did beautifully. But I'm so happy to share that we received so many audience questions for you. So,
Really?
shall we go through them?
Absolutely.
Okay, so some of them are a bit softer, a bit easier, and some are a bit more thinky. So let me see where we should start.
Hit me hard and soft.
This one is from Katie in Ontario, and she asks, when most people think about sports, they think about toxic macho energy. We talked about that. In response, what would you say are some of the queerest parts of sports? Open to funny and serious responses.
The queerest parts of sports? I don't know.
Queerest parts
Have you
of
ever been in a
sports.
hockey locker room?
No. Do I look like I've been there?
I don't know about that. I mean, I think
Queerest
sports
part.
are everything. But I mean, in our world, the queerest parts of sports, yeah, I would definitely say it's when drag queens play dodgeball. I mean, that's a riot.
Insanity.
It's a riot. Or if you check out our curling league, you should see the names of the teams.
Tell me.
Oh,
Tell me
like,
some.
We swept with your wife.
Unreal.
They're so witty and they're so funny. We bring the queer everywhere. Like it's in you if you come and hang out with us, you can't go anywhere without it.
That is so good. No, I'm going to actually go through the names and see any more funnies by the end of this episode. But let's see. This one is from Christine in Lloydminster. She asks, which queer athletic icons deserve to be on the proverbial Wheaties box?
But okay, so I mean, my personal favorite is a little bit biased because, of course, I love to ski.
Yeah.
But Gus Kenworthy is an amazing Olympic skier. He is
Hey.
phenomenal, and he's people look up to him. And I mean, Tom Daly.
Hey, too.
Tom Daly. The fact that he goes and supports his teammates and knits while he watches them. I mean, that is just bringing queer
That is
to national
culture.
TV, like across the world,
That
right?
is so
So I
good.
love that the attention that he brings and how he lives his life unapologetically. That's how we all
Yes.
need to be.
Christine had a couple more questions for you. Her second one is, what makes queer sports infinitely more engaging than their straight counterparts? Same
Sounds
thing, a little
infinitely more engaging.
infinitely more.
Accessibility,
Yeah.
right? Accessibility. I mean, you everyone is so approachable and so accommodating and wanting to make the experience better for one another. There's the like, are they competitive? Yeah, they want to beat the other team. But that's
Mm-hmm.
not really the goal at the end of the day, right? The goal at the
Mm.
end of the day is to bring more people together and make them feel good about themselves. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that right there makes it, way more accessible and therefore way more engaging.
For sure. And we actually I don't think we talked about accessibility in terms of able-bodiedness. So I guess that's a question that I'm having for you on the spur of the moment. Is there anything like we have, say, the Olympics and the Special Olympics? Are there any leagues that are working for folks that have mobility differences or disabilities?
That's a really good question. And one sport that we've been kind of trying to see if we could put together is wheelchair basketball,
So
which
cool.
those people are athletic.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can't even play basketball and I'm able-bodied.
We did hear about this. It
So,
was at never
like
mind.
props to them.
Yeah.
So we'd love to bring something like that in. Um, Currently, in our realm, bowling is relatively accessible for those that don't have as much mobility
Mm-hmm.
in some cases. You should cross country skiing you can do in some cases, downhill
Mm-hmm.
skiing potentially. But yeah, but there is nothing that exists like that in both in that space, in the queer space. So that is
Mm.
something worth exploring.
Something to work on,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, do you have any knowledge of if there have been any disabled athletes that have done anything with Apollo?
Not to my knowledge,
This
no.
is your
Just
opportunity.
come out and be with us.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
want to see this become as inclusive as possible. And, even from my own experience, I was really lucky recently to be invited by a dear friend in Edmonton who's a disabled drag performer. They are an
Cool.
ambulatory wheelchair user. So they have the ability to move without their wheelchair, but the wheelchair helps them perform and breathe and just be in the moment,
That's
right?
awesome.
Yeah, they did this amazing show. The performer is my friend Hot Wheels, and they
Hot Wheels.
I know,
That's
right?
amazing.
It's the best
I
name
love it.
ever. But Wheels hosted this show with their co-producer and co-host named A Boy Actually, who's also like a disabled performer. So anyway, the whole premise of this show was really amazing. It was inviting able-bodied drag performers to do a number that you've done before, but rethink it with the challenge of doing it in a wheelchair.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and it raised money for a wheelchair ramp in the Norwood Legion in Edmonton because it didn't have one. And they do tons of queer events there. And yeah, it also, while raising money, raised awareness about accessibility. Because for me, I already knew that like what Wheels and A Boy Actually was doing just from watching. I'm like, that is so incredible and like challenging. But then to actually be seated in there and trying to figure out,
It's-
how do I move? How do I do this all in real time?
It's not easy.
I fell out of my chair
Yeah.
in front of the whole audience and promptly got back into it. But it was not, yeah, as you say, easy. So I would love to see something in the future,
Yeah, I would
maybe.
love that too.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great answer for both of Christine's questions. Let's move to my friend Ilana in BC, and she has a great question. She says, for people who are trying to build community and strengthen solidarity, what are your top 3 tips based on your experience?
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Be open to everyone, number one.
Mm.
Never have a predisposed or a prejudged opinion on anything or
Mm.
anyone. Start small, right? Start small. Maybe get your closest friends together, and if I don't know, go play darts at a pub on a certain night of the week, and then put it
Mm.
out there in your community that, hey, there's these queer people are going to go do this, and be open and welcoming, and put it out there, and invite strangers, to come and join you, and then just start building those little bridges a little piece at a time. The whole
Mm-hmm.
thing about our community is that it's a network, and there have been people that have wanted to kind of close bridges down, and in some cases there have been clubs that have wanted to be the most successful club and be so successful that other clubs fail in their wake.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be that. Be willing to support one another, and
Yeah.
if you know of anybody else doing something, like go support them in your community. It's only by these little tiny groups coming together that eventually something bigger can form, and it snowballs.
The last question I'm going to ask you, this is the one that's a little bit more thinky, so we can do
Okay.
it in parts if we
Okay.
need to. Why is this league so essential in our current climate? What necessary stepping stones, safeguards, and opportunities does the league currently provide to queer and trans athletes? So maybe let's start with part one.
Okay, so why is it so important in this climate?
Yes.
I mean, the climate is chilly.
The climate is frigid at best.
We're not talking about the weather. Growing up, it's like everything was moving in the right direction. It seemed like things were on a good path. And recently it seems like we've all kind of come under fire. I feel like there are lots of people that want to take away the rights that we have achieved. And, Pride has always been a protest. It started out that way, and then we're still there now. So it is so important to make ourselves known, to make ourselves visible for our friends and our colleagues to know about who we are, and to be proud about that, so that we don't want to go backwards. We want to keep going forwards. We don't want to lose anything that we've built. I think it's more important now than even 10 years ago. It was still very important, but it's even more critical now than it was then. And it's really scary to see it going that direction. I shouldn't be saying that, in 2026. I should be saying, oh my gosh, everything's great and everyone has all the rights in the world, but that's not true. So that's why it's more important now than ever.
Yeah.
And to do it in a way, that maybe has been perceived as macho, like, you're playing hockey or you're playing a sport, that kind of flies in the face of what a lot of people think. And our whole goal is to change people's minds, right?
Right.
Change perceptions about queer people, and have those people be seen.
Before we get into part two of that question, I'm going to give you a breather because that was an excellent answer. But it reminds me of, I had shared with you that last season I had the privilege, like truly the privilege, of chatting with Michael Fair, Alberta's first openly gay elected politician. And somebody had asked him a similar question for me to read. It was along the lines of, what can queer people do in the face of so much adversity right now? And something that he said that's just coming to my consciousness as we're speaking about this exact issue is, don't give up, and the importance of allies, like we said, and needing to make sure that you mobilize and remember that you're not alone.
Absolutely. We're not alone.
Yes, exactly. But are you ready for that part two?
I think so. Okay.
We'll go over it again.
Refresh my memory.
It was, what necessary stepping stones, safeguards, and opportunities does the league currently provide to queer and trans athletes?
Okay. So stepping stones and safeguards. I'd say stepping stones would be, because it can be terrifying, right? Okay, let's say you don't know anyone, but you want to get involved. You can come and do like an open house. You can come and try. A lot of our sport leagues, if you reach out to them, they will happily, like, well, just come and see a game, and if you want to play, you can. If you don't, so like, just dip your toes in the water. And the safeguards are just there inherently by the way that our community is built. I mean, we are a very safe, welcoming community. The safeguards come in because of the people. Like, no one in our community is going to let, anyone talk down to someone else or belittle someone else for who they are. Like, I know that's a worry that a lot of people have in their day-to-day life, but you actually don't need to have that worry in our community. And opportunities, I mean, the opportunities are to form your new family. That's really the biggest opportunity that we all have. And I always say that our event takes place on the spring long weekend. It takes place on the Easter long weekend. We just generally try not to reference, religion.
The big guy.
But, if we're being honest about it, I think the reason that we're on that weekend is because a lot of people in our community don't necessarily have those ties to their family that, that most people have. So really what we're doing is we're giving people a place to build their chosen family. And we are a chosen family, and we all love each other, and we take care of each other. And that's the whole point.
I love that. That's such an excellent answer. And I think too, that piece about safety is a bit complex, right? Because I think what I've seen is, any organization, it's really hard to 100% guarantee a safe space. But to me, it sounds like it's a deep value for your organization to try and create a space that is as inclusive as it can be, to grow, to learn, and always go in with good intention.
And, some feedback that we get is, they want to come to our event, but they're actually afraid to come to Calgary.
Really?
They're afraid to come to Alberta in general.
Yeah, I can see it.
I'm not, as people, like, we've actually had feedback very recently from a group in Ontario, and they asked us basically that question, like, what safeguards can you put in to ensure that, we're going to be safe when we're there? And it's like, well, how do I even answer that?
Yeah.
If you're obviously at one of our venues, you're going to be fine. We have a host hotel, and everyone stays there. Obviously, if you're in that hotel, you're going to be fine. We can't guarantee your safety on the streets. Calgary is actually not as scary as you might think that it is.
And that piece about safety, though, on the street, that's anywhere. That's
It
anywhere.
is anywhere. And I think, Calgary does have a reputation. Alberta has a reputation.
What? I had no idea.
Of maybe not being the most liberal place in the country. But if you come here and interact with us, there's a lot of really great people here.
Yeah.
And, it's not that scary.
Yeah. And I actually really appreciate that you said that, because how funny is that? It's similar to the whole reason the show started, that people are like, queer people in Alberta, it doesn't seem to go together, but you're also experiencing it just for creating something new with sports.
Right?
Yeah.
And we have the longest running queer multi-sport festival in North America.
Like,
so,
don't talk to us.
like, it's, you know what? We're gayer than you think.
Just a little bit. Honestly, I feel like that's the slogan of the show, or even just I say
Alberta,
it with
gayer than you think.
gayer than you think. That should be like a fridge magnet or something. But I thought you answered all of those so spectacularly. Thank you so much, Ian, for your fun, your humor, and your insight, and for the work that you're doing for not just sports, but for queer Albertans all around.
Thank you so much for the platform, for having us on, and for shining a light on our little organization that's trying to make a big impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard for me to do that. It was an easy yes. But the last question, and a favor more so that I have, is can you look into that camera and just share where folks can follow you on social media, whether it's Apollo, yourself, whatever you're comfortable.
Yeah, please look up Western Cup. We're on Facebook primarily. We're on Instagram. westerncup.com is our website. You can find links to all of our different sport registrations there, information on our social events as well. But yeah, so you search Western Cup, you will find us.
Hey, there you go. And then I lied to you. There's a second part to that favor. If you could look into that camera and say, you can choose what you want to say. Hi, my name is Ian, or hi, I'm from Apollo or Western Cup, and you're watching Queer in Alberta. Very Disney Channel. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ian from Apollo Western Cup, and you're watching Queer in Alberta.
That's a wrap. You did it, bestie.
Nice.
Slam dunk. Podcasting expert. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. That was awesome.
Coming up next on Queer in Alberta.
When I first moved to Calgary was the first time I really got to see queer expression at all,
Whoa.
Like at all. Like we had a GSA technically at my high school, but
In
was
Sylvan,
like,
yeah.
it was the Super Smash Brothers Club that was fronting as the GSA basically.
Which, are we surprised?
No.
Like, if we really think about it, I'm not going to call anybody out here, but I'm not surprised.